Good morning. I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Behavioral Sciences to order. It is November 1st, 2017 at 8:36 a.m. We are at the Embassy Suites by Hilton and Orange, 400 North State College Boulevard in Orange, California. And we'll start with calling for a quorum.
Good morning. Sarita Coley. Here. Christina Long.
Here.
Dr. Leah Brooke.
Here.
Dr. Peter Chu.
Here.
Betty Conley. Here. Deborah Brown.
Here.
Samara Ashley.
Here.
Max Disposky.
Here.
Jonathan Maddox.
Here.
Renee Launer.
Here.
Dr. Christine Whitlisbach.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Now, this is the time for public comment for items not on the agenda. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make a public comment? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to item number 3, suggestions for future agenda items. Anyone on the board? Anyone from the audience? Okay. Moving on, we are now going to start the petitions. The number 4 petition for termination by Chevy, is it shown? Has been deleted. So that person will not be, has withdrawn their petition, so number 4. Moving on to number 5, we have Suzanne Chu, correct?
Yes, correct.
And I'm going to, at this point, turn the meeting over to the Honorable Byrd. And from here on, he will handle the rest of this meeting. So any of your questions will be directed to him.
Could you take his name again, please?
Byrd.
Bird.
B-E-R-G.
Bird. Thank you.
Right, Ms. Chu, good morning. You ready to go? All right, we'll go on the record then. We already worked. All right, I'll open the record in the matter of the petition for early termination of probation of Suzanne Chu. It is OAH case number 2017-09-0859. Today's date, November 11th, 2017. Hearing being held in Orange. I'm sorry. Okay. November 1st, 2017. My name is Adam Berg. I'm an administrative law judge from the state's Office of Administrative Hearings, sitting today with the Board of Behavioral Science. May I take appearances from the Deputy Attorney General, please?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor, and members of the board. I'm Deputy Attorney General Carl Sani. I'm appearing here on behalf of the people of the state of California pursuant to Government Code Section 11522. In this capacity, I appear in order to assist the board in eliciting information sufficient for the board to make a decision whether to grant or deny in whole or in part the petition that's before the board. In my capacity, I do not represent the board, but I represent the people again, so I'm representing the distinct interest in this proceeding. Before offering a summary of the case, I would like to offer into evidence the various documents that constitute the petition in this case, as well as the board memorandum, which the board has received, dated September 25th, 2017, from Andrea Bertram Mueller, probation analyst to the board. And then the petition, which includes the following documents, of which the board should have copies before. The petition for termination of penalty and an attachment, a stipulated settlement and disciplinary order in the case, including the statement of issues, the board's decisions, the psychological evaluation and results, psychotherapy results, violation notice, and the notification of hearing to the probationer, and the license history certification. So I would mark those all as Exhibit 1, Your Honor. And with one qualification, I would move that they be admitted into evidence. So this board is in receipt of information that may be considered to be confidential and private information of the probationer. including specifically the psychological evaluation of the petitioner and the results, and the psychotherapy reports. And so I've spoken to the petitioner, and we would request, and I would move that the psychological evaluation and the psychotherapy reports be placed under seal. What that means is that they will be submitted to the board for the board's consideration, but they're not a public document. And I'm making that request pursuant to Government Code Section 11425.20A1. Should the members of the board want to inquire into sensitive areas that are contained in those documents, and that doesn't mean the fact that they've got a good result and positive, but if there's something particularly sensitive that the board inquires, we would just request that we be made aware of that so that we can, if appropriate, if the judge determines it to be appropriate, have the webcast halted, and the court reporter would then mark those questions and answers and put them under seal as well in order to preserve the private information. This allows the board to consider all the relevant evidence but protect the privacy interests of the petitioner. So with that said, Your Honor, I would move to offer Exhibit 1, which is the petition packet and the associated documents and evidence.
Okay. All right, Ms. Chu, you understood what was being said?
Yes.
All right. Exhibit 1 will be received. I'll mark as 1A, the psychological evaluation, and 1B as the psychotherapy results, and your request to put those under seal, or their request for protective order is granted.
Then, Your Honor, I could quickly provide a summary of this case. It's my practice generally to allow the board to read the memo, and I will just quickly summarize rather than repeat the entire memo. Ms. Chu was issued on October 1st, 2013, an Associate Clinical Social Worker Registration, ASW 37316, to practice as a Registered Associate Clinical Worker, and was subsequently licensed as a Licensed Clinical Social Worker on November 2nd, 2016. The disciplinary order, which is the subject of the petition, was effective October 5, 2013, and Ms. Chu was placed under probation, I think, for a period of 5 years, which means until October of the following year. The underlying discipline arose as a consequence of 2 convictions for reckless driving and use of alcohol in a dangerous manner. The previous procedural history in this matter includes an April 10, 2015 denial of a prior petition for early termination of probation. But in that earlier decision, the board did modify the probationary terms by reducing psychotherapy every other week, biological fluid testing to once a month, and dependency support group attendance to once a month. And then on April 6, 2016, the board denied an early termination of probation request. In this petition, the petitioner again seeks early termination or reduction of attendance in dependence support group to once per month and psychotherapy to once a month as well. The petitioner bears the burden of proof, so I only have a few questions asked of the petitioner after the petitioner elects to give her opening remarks, and I would request that the witness be sworn in at this time.
Okay, we can do that. Let me just run through her explanation of just what her responsibilities today will be. You do have the burden of proof, and you've been to one of these before, I take it. So you know then the procedure. Just very quickly, you have the right to, of course, testify on your own behalf. You have the right to call any witnesses, and you may also present any evidence that wasn't included in the petition packet. As you know, members of the board and the Deputy Attorney General might also have questions to ask. You do have the right to raise any legal objections to any of the questions. After all of the cases are heard today, the board will meet in closed session and then vote on your case. And you should receive a written decision in the mail within, hopefully by the end of the month. All right. Any questions for me?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Deep breath. Okay, so I assume you wish to testify today. So if you would stand and raise your right hand, I'll swear you in. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll be giving will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, first of all, do you have any documents that you're going to be presenting that weren't included in the petition packet?
Yes, I want to submit the letter from my therapist, and then I answered the 3 questions. I expanded on the answers a little bit.
So I believe the petitioner is referring to materials which have been distributed to the board that constitutes 4 pages. First page is an October 13, 2017 letter from the Permanent Medical Group, and then a supplemental information regarding question number 11, and a supplemental response regarding question number 12, and a supplemental response regarding question number 13. I would suggest that it may be marked as Exhibit A.
Yeah, okay. Do you have an extra copy? I can have this. Okay, that's fine. All right, Exhibit A is marked and received. Thank you. All right, so this is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe that it should grant the petition.
So thank you for letting me be here today. I've been on probation for the last 4 years, and at the same time I've worked a lot on my recovery and as well as my career. So one of the main reasons I would like for the board to grant my termination or reduction in the probation is it's more so related to work. I would like to supervise interns at the bachelor's level, and with the probationary terms I can't do that. And also in the next, I would like to open my own practice if possible. And since I got licensed last year, so I think I want to continue to work on the next steps of my life, and like sometimes I think and there's questions about if I'm on probation or anything like that. So when I come across those questions, it always makes me a little emotional, but more so I want to continue to grow in my career. I've worked a lot on recovery, and with the work that I do for county behavioral health, I've started different programs that focuses on wellness and recovery, and I want to continue to grow in my job. And it's just the probation. It comes up in interview questions, so it can inhibit my ability for growth. Okay. Also, over the last 4 years, I've not only gone to the AA meetings, I've also been a chair at AA meetings. I feel like I have gone above and beyond in that sense. It's not that I'm just going in and sitting in the back and not paying attention or not participating in the meetings. Like I am involved in my group. And they're a great support system. I go to the one by my house, but with things that are going on as far as like I want to continue to grow and wanting my own practice, and there's just so much like I want in my life, and I want to give back to the behavioral health community that like when I apply for certain things, the probation just keeps coming up. So it would just alleviate if I could get the early termination, or like even a reduction of some of the termination of probation would allow me to apply for other jobs and continue to grow. But even like a reduction in the frequency would allow me to give more time for things that has helped my recovery. I have a lot of hobbies, a lot of I run, I cook, I bake, and I work on group stuff. There's just a lot of things I would like to contribute my time to. That also helps my recovery. So, okay, sorry.
No apologies needed. And you'll have the last word here, so if there's something that comes up that you think of later, it's not too late to be able to offer that. Maybe I'll turn it over to Mr. Sunny, and he can, I think, has a few questions.
I just have a few questions on this, Chief. In your remarks, you just indicated that two reasons, which I don't think I saw in a petition for termination of your probation. One was you want to have the ability to supervise that you do not have. And I presume what you're referring to would be term 15 of your stipulated settlement that governs the supervision of licensed persons?
Yes.
Okay, so that's one additional reason. And the second reason was that you wanted to open up your own business?
Yeah.
And were you concerned about notification of clients?
Yes.
Okay, just want to have that in the record. Can you explain to the board the benefits that you believe you derived from probation to date?
Yes. I think over the term of my probation, I mean, all the items that the board has asked me to do, I know initially I was very hesitant about them, doing the fluid testing, the psych eval, the AA meetings. I think when I first got the terms, I was so apprehensive about them, but like over the last 4 years, even the psych eval, I think that provided me with so much insight on just not like things that are related to this incident, but like myself, and I was able to use that to reflect, and sometimes I think it could be very painful when I read it, but I think it's very helpful to me, and it's helped me focus on things that I didn't really know about. The psychotherapy with Sarah has been tremendously helpful. I think I went from a very upset, a place of like denial and anger, to a place where I don't know if Sarah in her letter explains it, but you guys can have a teleconference with her as well. Like, I really feel like my therapy sessions have grown to a point where like it's not just recovery, it's like how can I grow as a person using this as an experience. And I think before I would like try to draw from how I can grow from this, right? But like now I feel like it's such a big part of my life. Like I preach sobriety all the time to not only our clients, to my friends, to my family. I really focus on harm reduction theory. And some of this I also learned in the 9-month program when I was doing the program with Kaiser for chemical dependency. And that class was amazing. I mean, they talk about, I feel like sometimes it was more focused there than I was in grad school. I really learned a lot. The effects of alcohol and like co-occurring disorders. As far as the testing, I think one positive thing about the testing for me was being able to understand like how that process goes, and what it's like to get fluid testing, because I know some of our clients do get tested. So I don't know. I think that created that was helpful for me to understand. the AA meetings was the I think that really felt like it was helpful during my for the probationary items, the stipulations. I think before my incidents, I didn't even believe in AA. Like, and this was also before I came into behavioral health. And people were so nice in my group, super supportive. So, and the stories I hear, it's really like the speakers that we have. Like it's all very touching and emotional. And I think like it's my AA group. They themselves, they're just really fantastic people, and they've provided me with so much support through the years. And I think I've grown a lot from that, like the lessons and the conversations that I've had with them. Thanks.
No, thank you, Ms. Chu. You mentioned your AA meeting. What's your sobriety date?
February 2nd, 2012.
And is there, you made 2 prior petitions to the board.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that's happened since last year that has prompted this petition?
Yes, so not being able to supervise the interns was a huge issue at work, as far as, it really inhibited my growth at work, and then having multiple people ask me, well, why aren't you able to supervise? That was that was difficult for me, like wanting to be able to supervise and not being able to, because I really feel like I have a lot to give and a lot to teach the interns, and it can be a really good experience both ways. Like it could be really beneficial for our clinic to have the interns. So that was one of the big motivators. And also I got licensed last year. So the next step for me would really like to start either a private practice or some sort of, like a private practice, but just the stipulations themselves, it's scary enough, like thinking about opening a practice and like looking through the steps for it, but then to have to notify people before even the thought of like having to notify clients, that inhibits me from being able to pursue that.
Let me ask the question a tiny bit differently. Do you think the public would benefit by you being terminated from probation at this time, so you could open up a practice or supervise other unlicensed practitioners?
Yes, absolutely. I do believe that. If I was able to supervise interns, I even wrote out an entire program for the person who is going to supervise the interns. I mean, just because I couldn't do it, I created something for them to guide them along, but I would like to be able to do that, and I have a lot of experience to share and to help supervise them. I have done the clinical supervision program as well, and I provide clinical supervision to unlicensed staff. So, and I know that's very helpful to them. I've gotten good feedback on that, so I do know that, and I would hope that the interns would feel the same way.
I may have a couple other questions at the end, but I think maybe it's appropriate for now to ask questions if you'd like to.
Thank you. And I'll turn it over to the board members. If you would state your name before asking the question for the benefit of our court reporters, so we can have that in the record. And we'll start at the end and move our way counter or clockwise.
No questions. Good morning. Thank you for coming back in.
If you could say
Renee
yours.
Launer, LCSW. I have a couple of questions. You had talked about the terms. The terms were reduced from your prior petitions. And one thing I'd like to know is how did that change? It was a rather dramatic reduction in terms of frequency of requirements. So I'm wondering how that changed, or if that changed your ability to grow at work, or your feelings about probation, or what difference did that make?
It made a huge difference because before I was going to AA meetings 3 days out of the week and psychotherapy once a week. It actually, the reduction allowed me to study more. I was able to read my own books, the books that, and sometimes I read like wellness and recovery books, sometimes I read like self-help books, but I was able to do all of that a lot more with the time that I have. And the testing and therapy, like running between your work and the test site and then like therapy site, it was stressful because how do you if my boss knew, but then it's like how do you explain to everyone else all the time, or your clients I have to go. So just the reduction in itself, I was still able to, Sarah still provides me with a lot of support. And I think like the reduction in the therapy session was good because it also gave me time to reflect when it's like every other week. There's more stuff for me to like discuss and reflect on with her. But the testing and the reduction itself, it gave me time to like have to read more, to be able to like pursue other hobbies, I was able to study for my licensing exam. Honestly, I don't know how I would have had time to even go through all those study materials. But the reduction was very, very helpful, and I appreciate the board for granting me that last time. It really relieved so much of like my daily stress of running around. So.
And congratulations on obtaining your license. In terms of the psychotherapy was reduced to every other week, is that correct? So I heard you say when you were presenting this morning that your treatment has really moved from focusing on recovery to personal growth, and that you appreciate it a lot. So I'm wondering what the reason is for your request for that to be reduced to once a month.
My therapist is in Scotts Valley, so in Santa Cruz area, and I work in San Jose, and I live in Milpitas, which is like north Santa Clara County. So the other day, it takes me like about an hour from my house to her office. So I have to take like the morning off if I was going to go in and see her. I had asked about having teletherapy because that could be very helpful. But it's just the travel time itself is difficult. Being able to schedule things and actually in reference to your other questions, what else has happened? Since the last reduction was I have my own team now, so that also makes it harder when I have if I go see Sarah, my therapist, like it's hard to take like 2-3 hours off of work or 3 hours off of work every time I go, and that's like if I take my lunch along, and if she has an appointment, it's just. It inhibits like my ability to like fully dedicate myself to my work. Yeah.
One last question. When you're off probation, because your probation will end naturally in a year, is that correct? In less than a year. What are your plans in terms of your own recovery, your own self-care, your own attention to the alcohol issue? What are your plans after probation is over?
I still plan on going to the AA meetings. Like recently I've been going to other ones, but my home group, like they're down the street from my house. Like, so sometimes if I can swing by in the morning, because I can't stay the whole time, so I go to an extra one in the evening, or like another one where I can like accommodate into my schedule. But I would still go to the Milpitas group. They're wonderful. I would continue doing that, and I would continue reading up on wellness and recovery material. Even in our own clinic, like we started a wellness and recovery clinic, and I wrote the protocol and procedures for that. I just think like I would continue to like do things that are focused not only on my own like recovery, but like to help other people that are out there to be able to do that. Other things I would continue to do is I love running, so I think that has been a huge help, like being able to have some extra time and being able to run and like sprint and like clear my head in the morning so I can like really focus and start my day. Other things I would do, I would still probably like check in with with Sarah. Like I think I can do like check the sporadic like you can schedule therapy appointments, even after if this ends. I would like to continue maybe like on a maybe like every quarterly basis, or I can email her. I think that would be really helpful for myself. Or after, if not, if Sarah can't do it at Kaiser, because there were some issues with like letting me continue on the when I was going every week, like, because there were some issues. So I would still seek therapy. Yeah, sorry. And yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No question at this time.
Not really a question. Well, it is a question. Max Disposi, I'm a public member. So if there is, let's say, early reduction, or if there is anything else that you really would like to stay away from in terms of reduction of what's left, what would be the thing that you would like to be reduced in terms of how often?
And I think one thing on here, like I would also like to reduce the fluid testing, because that's expensive. And I also have to take a lot of time off of work to do that. So that I would like to reduce. I don't know if it's possible for it to be like quarterly, or I don't know what the amount of time you can. But I would like that one to be reduced just for time purposes and money purposes. The dependency support attendance, maybe if I did like twice a month, once a month, that would be good. Because then that I can like, I can like go when, even if it's like, okay, I can go in the morning, if it's for half an hour, then I can still meet with my group, but then like, it may not result in a signed check-in, but then they're like the ones who I feel really connected to. So, yeah, maybe once in the psychotherapy, if I could do like on a check-in basis, that would be good too.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine. Thank you. Thanks for answering.
I don't have any questions.
I have no questions. No, I have no questions.
Peter Chiu, remember. Thanks for being here. Last time you asked for early termination, the board denies it. So I want to know what's your understanding why the board denied your early probation request last time, because today you gave the reason why you want early termination of probation, early termination of probation. from your standpoint. But I want you to convince the board, from the board standpoint, why we should terminate your probation at this point.
That's absolutely fair, and I think over the last 4 years, I've really demonstrated my commitment to this bill, my commitment to the probationary terms. I think even if you look at the exhibits, I've never tested positive for any of the fluid testing. I mean, and over the last 4 years, I don't know how many there were, but and when if I was going out of town or anything, I'm super responsible in regards to talking to the probation monitors and consulting with them. But I think from the board's perspective, I think it's also important to look at how much I've grown as a person, what I can contribute back to the community itself, and my desire to as well. It's and a lot of time has lapsed. Okay. I mean, it's been 4 years that I've been on probation, and I've never violated. Oh, okay. Let me think about it. There was one time I went to a conference and the test, but I'm sorry. So I haven't. Yeah, as far as all the terms go, I haven't been in I haven't violated them, and not. I had one violation when I went to a conference and I couldn't go test because I was in San Francisco and I was stuck there. And so that's my work had paid for it, and I couldn't leave. So that's my violation. But yeah, I've followed all of the terms, and I've gone and work on my own recovery on my own.
Thank you. But I guess you were just getting the answer I was looking for. That is, in terms of your personal growth and recovery,
Mm-hmm.
why do you think that the board should terminate your probation? Can you explain to us, in terms of your recovery and personal growth, that probation is no longer needed?
Mm. Okay, sorry, I think I didn't quite understand the question at first, but because for a lot of the things that were on the probationary terms, for example, the testing, I do it because it's part of the terms, but I don't even think about drinking when I am stressed. I go for a run, when the coping skills that put me in, that I had when these incidents had happened, I've gotten so much and grown so much in terms of coping skills and being able to talk to you. Not only in the beginning, I was even afraid to talk to my therapist, but now I talk to my friends about it. I have a really good support network that I can reach out to. My family as well, and I think even in the psychic report, I was I'm never telling my family about any of this. But they've come in, they've been amazing, and I know that I have people to reach out to. So, and then with the therapy part, I mentioned before, we've grown from talking about a lot of the recovery, and now it's more focused on how recovery can help me. But I also want to be able to start my own practice, and I think I would hope that the board can understand that and how being on probation inhibits my ability to do that. So,
Thank you, you answered my question, thank you.
Leah Brew, LPCC member, and congrats also. I wanted to echo that on getting your license. It's wonderful news. My question is similar to Dr. Chu's. I think how to say it. From the packet and everything I read, you're very good at following rules. So I know as long as you're on probation, I have full faith that you're going to follow the rules. So, sort of related to what he was saying, when the rules aren't there that are imposed from the board, what are your internal sort of rules that you have that will make sure the public is safe?
I think those rules, I mean, the meetings I would still go to, that's not part, even after this, I would still go, so they would still be there. And I think just this experience itself, and like what I've learned over my probationary period, I wouldn't touch alcohol ever again. I mean, even now, like it's not about the rules. Like I feel like it's something that's inside of me that before I used as a coping mechanism, like when I'm stressed or like, but I feel like I guess I don't really understand that question as well, because I really do feel like I don't drink and use, I wasn't, or substance or like any of that. Like that's just not, I feel like me as a person has changed and shifted from that. Like I'm sorry. I guess it's hard for me to answer that question, because I feel like my own rules have changed as a person, right? Like I don't, like how I view alcohol, how I view recovery, how I view, people going through substance abuse, like those views that I completely changed. Like I feel like I have like my own set of rules as far as like I can't even imagine touching it, because it's the things that I've learned, like the traumatic experiences that I've had, and like being hit by a drunk driver 2 years ago, like, and being in trauma ER, like just knowing like the effects, like I can't even imagine. Like, so as far as rules go, I guess like I would just reflect back on everything. So yeah, and I also think like I have my own set of like standards, and even if like the board doesn't grant me the early termination or the reduction, it doesn't change like my practice or like my beliefs. Sorry, I'm not being too private. Yeah, but I think like when you that question's asked, like it makes me feel like I need rules to like not drink, but that's not true.
Thank you. I think that
Sorry.
answers it.
Sorry.
No need to apologize. Thank you. Do you need to?
No, I'm
Drink some
okay.
water
I'm so
and-
sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Christina Wong, LCSW member. I just have some little facts question that I want to check in. So when you attend the AA meeting, have you ever, share your story in the AA meeting?
Yeah, like I was a speaker before, and I cried during that time too. So
So you did.
Yeah.
You did speak.
uh,
Do you have a sponsor?
I did have a sponsor, but
For how long?
it was for I think like a couple of months, and then my schedule got really crazy. So, and that was my fault. And then I think like the things, because part of A like it asks you to accept, God, and it's not part of, it doesn't align with my beliefs. So I think like when someone's like forcing it to have me accept God, like it was just hard. So, and it was, then I think I was gonna find someone else who maybe didn't, I was gonna look into other members that didn't have that, but,
Are you talking about a meeting or sponsor? When they talking
Oh.
about God.
the A meetings, they don't really talk about the
Right.
God piece as much, but the sponsor.
But you're talking about the sponsor. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Uh.
Yeah, and so it didn't work out.
Mhm.
And why didn't you find another sponsor to help, as a way of supporting your recovery?
I think partly it was like I had the support from the people who were going to my A meetings, and I felt like was really strong. And I mean, I feel like, I was really strong in my recovery that, like by going to the A meetings and like seeing Sarah, like I felt like Sarah was more so my sponsor than, it was more helpful than, the sponsor that I had.
So who are your support system now?
I have my family, I have my friends, and they're great. And I think like just having my family as a support system, that has been a tremendous difference as far as like from previous years where I would still be really scared to talk about it with them. But now we can like talk about it openly, and so
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Sarita Kohli, I'm the LMFT member. And I do have a couple of questions. I can see you're getting a little frustrated because you think the board is not understanding. And a few of the members are asking similar questions. So there seems to be some issue where we're not understanding what it is that you're trying to say here. So I'll just ask a few concrete questions. Have you, you don't still drink, do you still drink?
No.
Okay. Have you been in psychotherapy as part of your schooling or as part of your licensure process? Did you ever go to psychotherapy before this?
No.
Okay, so this is your first experience with psychotherapy with Sarah.
Mhm.
Okay, that's helpful to know. When you came, when you came last time to ask for the modification, did you also sit in session? Did you sit and observe what happens with other people? How the board is asking questions of other petitioners that were there? Or did you only stay for your own
No,
part?
I was here. Yeah, I saw the person in front. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to ask you this. Do you understand what it is that the board is asking you to show between last time you applied for a modification and this time?
To show that to show why the board should grant me the position, what has changed from last year to this year.
Yes. And what? So the board is understanding that you didn't violate probation, that you followed all the rules, and you did all of this because you're on probation. Let me finish. But what the board is not hearing you say is that you understand or appreciate the learning that you have gotten from it. And I'm sorry, but we're all having some difficulty understanding that from you.
I'm so sorry. No, but I do appreciate like what I've been, not just the terms, but even like the arrest and all of those things I do, and I'm sorry I haven't been able to convey that. But I have. And maybe I don't know how to articulate it well. Maybe that's my issue right now, but I have learned a lot. I mean, like the classes I've gone to, being in therapy with Sarah, and like going to the AA meetings, just all the speaker meetings and then the sharing meetings. Like I've really just I look forward to them, and I do appreciate everything that the board has allowed me to do. Like I mentioned earlier, the psych eval. I would have never gone and done that on my own. And I really appreciate the board for like having like ordered me to do that, because even I think when I went, I was like a little hesitant, but just reading the report, I hope I have mentioned it, but it's really helpful. I do think like the terms of last 4 years has really contributed to my growth as a professional, and like my own growth as a person. I'm more open now. Before I was a really private, closed off person. I wouldn't use my experience to like help other people like grow, and and I even now I don't even really like admitting that, but I'm not the same person that I was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, like, and the board, without going through all the things that were in here, I would have never grow the way that I have. Like, I don't think I would even be reflective as a person. I might have like given up on pursuing my license or anything. So no, I'm super appreciative. And I'm just emotional, so please don't take it the wrong way. But yeah, no, I appreciate everything that I've gone through. It really changed me as a person. Like,
Great, thank you. I think I can see this is obviously very distressing and emotional for you, and but I think that's you're explaining how it's helping you have had more development in your personal and professional areas is helpful. How you presented yourself first was to say, I want to supervise people, I want to be able to pursue my career, I want to do other things, that's why the board should grant me. But that's not what the board is looking for. We're looking to see how you would be less of an impact or threat to public safety. Our job is not to penalize anybody, but to make sure that the people that you're counseling are safe. So thank you for that.
Thank you, and thank you for helping me express some of those feelings. Yeah, it's been an incredible path. Like, sorry, okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No other questions.
All right. Any last comments you'd like to make?
I do.
Oh.
I have no, sorry. I have no questions. Sorry. So, thank you again for responding to our questions and helping us understand more. I just have a follow-up question to do with your support. Let's say that your probation ends. So, your AA, you say you'll continue to go, but you can't go to a whole meeting, so you can't get that signed off, right? Mm-hmm. So if we were to reduce the terms, you'd want it to be like once a month, so that you could go to a full meeting just once a month.
Mm-hmm.
So my questions are about your support through AA. You don't have a sponsor. Have you worked the steps?
I've worked through some of them, and then the one about giving up your power to God, like that one,
Get stuck on that.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do you socialize with the people from AA outside of the group, or you just see them when you go to the group, or?
I see them. Well, there's like two people who like I see like outside the group because they like live in my neighborhood and they come by, do walks and stuff. But it's a little different than like being in there and talking about that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But you do talk to people from a.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we do.
I'm good.
They know where I live.
Thank you.
I have a follow-up question. Jonathan Maddox, I'm a LMF team member. And congratulations on your sobriety. And we appreciate your commitment to the field and your desire to reach out and give back to supervisees and sort of support the clients that will be accessing services. But I do have a question, because I've noticed in the course of your request to be removed from probation, you have said on several occasions, I want to do things on my own. I want to do things on my own terms. And so it seems like very early in your probation status, you want to be disconnected from sort of the structure that was provided for you to not only help you grow, but to protect consumers who were accessing your services. So I'm wondering, in the course of therapy, what have you learned about why you were so quick or so interested to be disconnected from your probation requirements so early? Like, what do you understand was driving that desire to be disconnected from your probation status?
I think part of it was I didn't want to be associated as much. Like I wanted my own independence for doing things, and I think like part of it was even like maybe rebellious and like wanting to do it my own way. But by going to therapy, it was still helpful to talk about all those things. No, I guess I don't have a clear answer as far as like why I wanted to do the recovery the way that I wanted to, and I think like maybe part of it was I also knew like what really like motivates me, and maybe like initially that's what I was so committed to.
All right, any closing, anything else you wanted to add as your testimony?
I really appreciate the board for listening to me and like trying to guide me, and sorry I got emotional. I really appreciate everything that the board has done for me.
What's the Department of Justice's position?
I typically don't take a specific position on these petitions on behalf of the people. It's simply to elicit the information and to say obviously that Ms. Chu has articulated both in her papers and in the testimony those reasons which the board has now before it, and has provided responses sufficient for the board to enable it to make a decision when the board has received that information.
All right, well then that will conclude the hearing of the matter. The record is closed and the matter is submitted to the board for its decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also record.
Sure.
Go ahead.
We're going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break, so we'll reconvene at 9:45. Calling the Board of Behavioral Sciences back to order. It is 9:51. Okay, we're going to resume.
Can you speak louder? Yeah.
We're coming to order. Is it on now?
It's been on.
It's been on all day. It is now 9:52 and we're back in session. Turn it back over again to the Honorable Board.
Ms. Stout?
Yes.
You're next.
Yes,
As good as you're gonna be.
ready as I'm gonna be.
Okay. All right, we'll go on the record. This is the matter of Lisa Stout. It's case 2017-09-0893. Today's date is November 1st, 2017. My name is Adam Berg. I'm Administrator of Law Judge from the State's Office of Administrative Hearings here. Sitting with the case today, sitting with the Board of Behavioral Sciences today, which is convened to hear the petition. Will the Deputy Attorney General identify yourself, please?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor, and members of the board. Deputy Attorney General Carl Sani, appearing on behalf of the people of the state of California pursuant to Government Code Section 11522. My purpose today is to assist the board in the fact-finding process to elicit information sufficient to enable the board to make a determination whether to grant or deny the petition in whole or in part. In this capacity, I represent the people and not the board. Before offering a summary of the case, I would like to offer into evidence, mark and offer into evidence as Exhibit 1, the board's cover memo from Ms. Pearl Yu to the board members dated October 10th, 2017, which offers a synthesis of the petition, as well as the petition for modification with attachments, the subject decision in order, the psychological evaluation report, the notification of hearing to probationer, and the license history and certification. Before moving to admit that into evidence, I would request, and I believe also have the request of Ms. Stout, that the psychological evaluation report be put under seal pursuant to Government Code Section 11425.20A1 as confidential private information. So we would request a protective order on that and move that Exhibit 1 be admitted into evidence, Your Honor.
All right, I will accept Exhibit 1 and then mark the psychological evaluation as Exhibit 1A and grant the request to put that under seal.
Thank you. And then at this time, Your Honor, just, excuse me, again, the cover memo to the board sets forth in more detail the background, but in sum, Ms. Stout was issued a registration as a registered marriage and family therapist intern on August 6, 2008, and was subsequently issued a license, marriage and family therapist license on October 20th, 2014. The disciplinary action that is the subject of this petition arose from petitioner's use of marijuana, methamphetamine, and opiates to an extent or in a manner dangerous to herself or others. An accusation was thereafter filed and resolved through a stipulated settlement in order effective November 25th, 2013. The licensee was placed on probation for a period of 5 years. The burden of proof is on Ms. Stout in this matter, so all we have a few questions to ask after the petitioner gives her opening statement is placed on the record.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Stout, you observed the last hearing, so you're familiar with the process, so I won't go over it again, but if you have any questions, let me know and I'll answer for you.
Okay.
All right, let me then swear you in.
All right.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll be giving will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you. You can have a seat. All right, this is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe it should grant your petition.
First, I want to thank you guys for allowing me to come before you. Second, I want to apologize ahead of time. I'm a fast talker, so I'm going to try to keep it slow.
Well, you're going to have to apologize to our court reporter.
Yes, I know. When I get nervous, I tend to go, so I will try.
Okay, well, if you see the daggers come out of her eyes, you know you need to slow down a bit, all right?
So during the time that I've been on probation, I don't even know how to express how much I have grown. Before I even got on probation, I just need to backtrack a little bit. I was in like my addiction for like 20 years. And then I got clean and sober and went to college and everything was easy. Like 3 months into my sobriety, people were saying, no, you need to come into juvenile hall and do faith-based 12-step. And I did that 2 nights a week for 4 years. I went to college and they were like, oh, you're so smart. But after 20 years of being in the streets, it felt so good and everything was uphill. And it seemed like it just was handed like uphill, here you go. And I went to college for 6 years and I got my degree and I worked for probation and I got a job at mental health. And then I got complacent and comfortable and took my eyes off of where I came and got like settled into where I was. And then I got a little bit, I guess, lofty and thought, how do people relapse? I don't get it. How, when you have so many clean years, do you go back? Why would you throw that away? And I guess God had to show me. And I walked through my own relapse and I threw it all away. And the second time around, nothing came easy. I took 18 months off work. Well, you take it, they kind of gave me the option to quit. I'm sorry, it's not funny. I took the 18 months off to do self-care. I went back into got a sponsor. I wanted to volunteer like I did the first time around, and people said, no, you can't volunteer, you don't have enough clean time. And that was new for me. They wanted me to have like 2 years or 5 years, and so all these doors were shut, and I had to go down to the bottom level and really work hard. I had to go back and get food stamps through the agency that I used to work for. And so it was one humbling experience after another. The person I did therapy with, who I divulged all of my insecurities to about my addiction, was my coworker at my new job. When I finally went back to work, they were like in my office saying, oh, hey. I was like, oh no, I told him everything about my addiction. So this time through the program, it's made me have to work super hard from the ground up and to be humble and to know that I can never get complacent, I can never get comfortable. I always have to be mindful of that part of me, that addictive nature in me, that part that needs the self-care, that needs the transparency, that needs to tell people that need to know this is who I am, and please help me be accountable for that. Keep an eye on me. If you see me looking, please call me on it now. Don't wait till I self-sabotage. So my supervisors are well aware. For the first 2 years, I had a supervisor that was in recovery herself, so a lot of my supervision was around recovery. My agency I work for a nonprofit agency. We contract with the mental health in our county and work with at-risk youth that are severe or moderate mental illness. Part of my thing for probation was that I went back to a master's level program and did a drug and alcohol program. And then I asked if I could become a drug and alcohol counselor instead, because I wanted to be able to use this experience. So I completed the 6-month program to get my certification as drug and alcohol counselor. I haven't taken the test yet because I qualified to become licensed, and so I'm waiting for financially because it's a lot of money to put down to take your licensing test. So I'll be duly licensed. I'll be a licensed drug and alcohol counselor as well as licensed marriage and family therapist. And the agency paid for that, for me to do the schooling. They've also paid for me to do training in a program called Project Towards No Drugs. I now do, and I think I have for the last year and a half, we contract through Shasta County Probation Department, and I do groups with kids in juvenile hall and outside juvenile hall for drug education. They do a 12-week program with me if they get caught with the minor offenses before they get out of serious trouble. So for me, that really helps me work my program, because when you're doing those programs, kids often want to know that you're real, and they'll ask you, and you share what part is acceptable to share. Like, yes, I know what I'm talking about. Yes, sometime in my life, a long time ago, I've had these experiences, and I leave it at that, but it always keeps me mindful and humble of my beginnings and where I came from. So I have tried to use this to the best of my ability to make this into something that's positive that I can grow from and use in my practice. Because I'm often now aware when I see clients that are stuck or in denial or trying to restart from the scratch, I have more of an empathy and more of an understanding of where they're coming from and the questions to ask and the tools to help them to maybe go to the next level. So I really try to use this to move forward for not only myself but for my clients. And I stay plugged in. I have friends that are long-term sobriety that I go on women's rafting trips, I stay close to. But my biggest factor, I'd have to say, besides my faith, is my grandchildren. My children, I drove through my addiction when they were younger. My grandchildren almost had to see me in that. Thank God I got arrested and I got caught right away, and it brought me right back to where I needed to be, because I have grandchildren that come over every weekend to stay with me or rotate, and they look up to me, and I never want them to know Grandma the addict. So those are just the things that I'm using today to keep in place to stay clean and sober.
Mr. Stein.
Yes, I have a few questions missed out. One of these questions is one I posed in the last petition hearing. What benefit do you think you have derived over the last 4 years as you've gone through the probationary process?
What benefit have I derived?
Yes.
Well, I was blessed to go through and become a drug and alcohol counselor. It's true my probation for the classes of that. It's made me have to look at myself at a deeper level, to where I feel like I'm much more stronger in my sobriety right now, because now I have the connections and I know never to take my eyes off of that. Never to get complacent to where I'm at. And if it wasn't for the program, I think forcing me to do that in the beginning, I probably, who knows where I could have been, what I might have done.
So you're asking that the probation terminate basically a year early, is that correct?
Yes.
What has prompted you to request the board to terminate the probation a year early? What benefit do you think you would derive, and what benefit do you think the public would derive from the termination of probation?
The benefit I would derive is the agency I work for is wanting to promote me. They've been waiting for me to get off this so I can be promoted to a supervising therapist and maybe a clinical supervisor, which I think then I would be able to give back some of the experiences that I have into the other internships and some of the struggles that people have, because whether they have addiction in their life, we all have things that we have to be mindful of all the time in our own self-care. Self-care, 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 that I would be able to really stress to new interns is the balance between your studying and your clients and your home life, and you make sure that your clients benefit as well as your own, that you're giving self-care and you're talking to somebody, if you are counter-transference or transference of a client that you just met, that it's okay to go to somebody and say, hey, I could use some help with this. Or hey, I just need to get this off my chest so I can go on the rest of my day and be okay. So those are what I think I benefit from, and I think that I can pass on to those that I will be over.
That would be the public benefit you get.
Yes. But well, not just like, yeah, I guess interns I would be over, but also the clientele that I serve.
Now, you mentioned that you're reworking the 12 steps. What step are you on presently?
I rework the 12 steps. So I've gone through them all, but I'm keeping with my sponsor, so it's kind of like you bounce around whatever's going on in your life. The first time I did recovery, I did faith-based, and we went to faith-based meetings, so I never put the pen to paper for my steps. This time, I got a sponsor that I knew that was really going to work me hard. She was one of the instructors, and I told her that I wanted to do it because I didn't want to have this happen again, and she really worked me hard. A lot of tears, a lot of work. We probably took almost a year to go through the 12 steps. She made me work very thoroughly in each step and a lot of writing. And so now I'm probably always on step 1 constantly, admitting that I am powerless. I am always working to make sure I keep an inventory of myself, that I make amends, don't have resentment, and that I carry it forward. That's probably something that I will try to work on.
So having gone through the 12 steps, you're not now going through the serial, you're just approaching all of the various lessons you've learned through the steps?
Right, I'm just doing like the maintenance that you do forever.
And what's your current sobriety date?
December 10th, 2010. Almost 7 years.
And what are the greatest stressors now in your work week or in life in general?
Probably balancing sometimes, because I think from where I came, I tend to want to overprove myself. like somewhere there still, and I'm working that out still with my sponsor and through the church members. I'm very connected in my church. I still tend to sometimes get caught in that, like, I don't deserve to be here. If they only knew where I was in my 20 years of my addiction, they wouldn't. And so I have to be superwoman. I have to take on sometimes the highest cases, and I have to take on the most hours and bill the most minutes. And so I have to keep that in check and make sure that I save time for my family time and my own time and know that I don't have to do it all.
Well, that was sort of going to my next question, which is, how do you cope with the stressors, these stressors in your life?
Well, my husband is huge support. I use a lot of prayer. My faith is huge in my life. My first sobriety came through my faith. And so I can stay connected in my church, and I just found worship music is probably my #1 coping skill. I use music as a way to like de-escalate. I will drive and separate from today to tonight so that I'm not taking work home with me. It keeps me calm, and it also keeps me humble to remember, sorry, that I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to have all the answers.
Now, and if I, without getting too personal, your submission indicated that the original stressors that caused the relapse were kind of family oriented. Without, again, trying to get into any detail. Have those issues been dealt with, or does you indicate now that your family is more a positive impact on you? Is that correct?
My husband and me, we've grown over the 7 years, 8 years, we'll be married 8 years in January. Become a huge support system. When I first relapsed, we just found out that my son has severe mental illness, and I would like to say that part of me, when I first came in, wanted to be in the denial that his mental illness might have led to my relapse, but I think my relapse brought out his mental illness because he didn't want to go through what he went through before. But then we were able to get him the help. But over the last 7 years, he's 32 and he's learning to grow in his mental illness and how to take care of it. I'm learning how to balance that and what my role is in that. So we've come a long ways and what life is like. If you have a child with bipolar, and he's come a long ways with what life's like when you have a mother in addiction, and we've kind of grown together through that process.
So that's now become a positive impact?
It's become a positive influence. It's never positive to have those things, but we've learned to manage through that and how to be support for one another. And it also helps me with my clients because I kind of know what it's like to be in that position and firsthand experience. So when I'm dealing with my teens with bipolar and stuff, I also get a little more. So it's kind of come together. Seems like full circle.
I have no further questions at this time.
Questions from the board?
So my name is Jonathan Maddox. I'm the licensed LMFT member. And I want to say thank you for your work on maintaining your sobriety and your commitment to the consumers that actually access services in your region. So thank you for that. I have a couple of questions. My first one is a clarifying question. You wrote on your petition request in section number 11, and I'm just asking for clarity. I may be misunderstanding, so I'm making room for that. That after having had 9 years of sobriety, that you relapsed, and that you were pulled over while your husband was driving you to work. The board's paperwork also says that you were driving, but then your psych eval says that you were a passenger. And so I'm not clear on what the facts are. And so could you help clarify for myself and the rest of the board what the facts are specifically?
So I was a passenger. When I got that from the board, my only excuse is when I said I struggle sometimes with low self-esteem. I didn't really feel like I had the right to fight it because I'm guilty. I was high. So to me in that moment, I felt like, okay, I wasn't driving, but I was high, so let's just move forward and fix this instead of trying to say, but I didn't do that. So I felt like I was trying to make excuses. Later, when I thought about it, I thought, well, I should have gotten court papers and brought it to the board's attention because I was the passenger in the car and he was driving me, and I was on my way to work. So that in itself, I thought was pretty bad and kind of let it just go. So, but no, I was not the driver.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification. So I guess another question I have is you mentioned that at the time of your relapse that you had become complacent in your addiction. Could you help us or help me better understand concretely what that means? I'm not sure if that means you just didn't participate in your structure or.
Well,
help me
the
understand.
first 5 years of my sobriety, I was super involved. I did juvenile hall ministry 2 nights a week, and I went in and talked about not only my faith, but it's all about recovery, and we talked about the 12 steps. I taught Sunday school, I was going to church programs, I was going in my bachelor's program, I was in a Simpson, which is a Christian college, so I was very focused, even in the night program. I got my job at probation, and then a lot of that I didn't have time. I was working graveyards, I was going to my master's program. So pretty soon the juvenile hall ministry kind of slid away, the church thing kind of slid away. I didn't want to be, I guess I was trying so hard to prove, because for 4 years I came into juvenile hall and they all knew me as a lady in recovery, and then now I was their equal, like I was a full-time staff. And I didn't want to be separated from them, so when they would go on what they would call choir practice, which was really Tuesday night drinking, I didn't want to be like the one girl that couldn't go. So even though alcohol wasn't at that time my drug of choice, I quickly learned that it opened the door to my drug of choice. So I started to go and just wanted to be part of the crowd, and then you get like, I'm okay. I managed to drink with them, and I still am okay, and I'm not. So it just kind of slowly crept in, and I wasn't diligent in watching. Now I know that it's okay for me to say, no, I can't go drinking with you guys. And I don't have to feel judged for that. I don't even have to explain it. I can just be like, I don't feel like drinking. I don't feel like going to the bar, thank you for leaving. But, and so I know that that's a gateway for me, to start opening the door a little bit. Like, it's okay, doctor, give me the prescription for Vicodin. It's okay, I'll go to the bar and drink. And then the day that it came around, the meth came to my door, it was like so much easier to say, okay. Now I know that I have to be like, no, away from me.
Thank you very much. And so now I have one last question based on that answer. So it sounds like, and this may or may not be accurate, that you may not have had the quality of accountable relationships that you needed to at that point when you were asked to engage in those kind of activities?
Yes.
To kind of bounce that off of. So I'm wondering, my question is, what role do accountable relationships have in your current sobriety plan as you focus and maintain your wellness and your recovery?
But the only time I do anything really super social outside of work or my coworkers and my family is with the women in sobriety. And most of these women that I have been friends with have anywhere from 5 years to 25 years sobriety. And so we do the women kind of like the women's rafting. But everywhere I'm at, they all know that they're sobriety and I'm in sobriety, and we all kind of keep each other in check. My family's all aware that I'm in sobriety, all my in-laws, everywhere I go, so they know, like, I don't drink, I don't, do any of that anymore, and my family. It's like I said, my grandkids are old enough now. My oldest is 13, grandchild, my youngest is 5. It wouldn't take much for them to know what grandma's up to. So grandma keeps her, they're a huge factor in my life.
Thank you for your answer.
Your question.
No, you did answer my question. Thank you very much for your answer.
Max is posted. Actually, I don't have any comments any questions other than a positive comments, and it was very powerful, empowering hearing your story. So I congratulate you for all the efforts. You own it. So thank you for sharing.
Good morning, Samara Ashley. I'm a public member. Just a question for you. You talked about AA and the role that it's had. Can you just share with us, have you ever played the role as a sponsor for someone? And can you just describe a little bit more how AA, how you're working through the steps and it's aiding you?
Like I said, I still work with my sponsor and work and stuff as it comes up. I have not been a sponsor, probably only because I don't have the time for the commitment, because I probably work 50 hours a week with the clients that I do have, and I can't be my client sponsor, even though sometimes I want to. Because in the family dynamics comes a lot of addiction, and so I use my schooling to work on that, and they'll quite often ask me, oh, can you be my sponsor? But I can't have them have my number or call me after hours in the dual relationship, so I don't really have the time in what somebody would really need. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have no questions.
Okay, Chair.
And I have no questions, but I also want to acknowledge your tremendous effort and for sharing your story. So thank you.
Peter Chu, public member, same comment.
No questions. Christina Wong, LCSW member. So, and congratulations for you getting the license during your probationary period, and that's a really big deal. So just a very simple questions about, when you talked about, the trigger for your last relapse was really about, the kind of like struggling the relationship with your son. So I wonder now, so what kind of measure you have in place to continue to deal with this this pretty lifelong stressor?
Knowledge, education, research, like when you don't know for sure what's going on and the first time you hear somebody that might have a suicide attempt or suicide ideation, as a parent, that's pretty devastating. So learning really to do some good work where we talk to each other and we check on each other, and doing the knowledge that I did not only professionally but as a mom, what are the cycles, what are the symptoms, what are the warning signs, what to watch out for, and how to have a conversation with somebody has been hugely helpful for me.
Have you done any therapy, to deal with this particular area of issues?
Yes, I did therapy after I relapsed, and it had to do with the whole thing because that was my son's first his first attempt. So I went and saw therapy for that, and we talked in great depth about what it meant to be, because it's like a mechanic and your car doesn't run and you feel like embarrassed because your car doesn't run and you're supposed to know how to fix your car. And as a therapist, when you have a child and you don't know how to fix your child, it's really hard because that's what we do. Right? You have to really learn early on. That's not what you do with your family. You are not your child's therapist by any means. And you can't be the same role. So it took me a long time to learn that. Not a long time, but I mean, it felt like a long time in the beginning.
That superwoman syndrome really, plays a big place, in your career and your personal life. So okay, so so down the road, when you experience the similar stressor, so what kind of things that you would do, in order to monitor it, because like you say, it's just really hard for you.
Well, I have my go-to people now. I have my counselor, I have my church members, I have my husband, and I have an awesome supervisor that has been there for me when I need to talk to, so to make sure that it doesn't carry over into my work world, let alone my personal world, but we talk about it. So I'll go and say I have concerns, or I can't get a hold of him, or I'm really worried about it, and then we'll talk about like whether I'm being too motherly, too codependent, to the things that we can tend to do, and how much I need to maybe at times to back off and when to. So it's been extremely helpful. I can't stress enough how appreciative I am, not only for this experience, but for the agency that I work for that has backed me from the beginning of this, because I have been able to be totally transparent with those that I need to be, and do not feel like they have, by any means, held it against me in my job. They have been like, okay, now that we're aware of this, we'll know what to watch for, and supported me, and helped me to grow, and encouraged me, so.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully they'll keep me for a long time.
Thank you.
I have no questions also, but I congratulate you on getting your license and the work that you've done in your recovery.
Any other questions, Mr. Sine? Okay, anything else from the board? All right, final thoughts and comments?
I think I said it all. Just thank you for letting me come and petition my request. And I look forward to hearing the response. No, you guys have a blessed day.
Thank you. That concludes the hearing in the matter. The record's closed. The matter is submitted to the board for decision. Welcome.
Okay, we're gonna take about a 5-minute break?
Yeah.
Okay,
I like this chair.
so 10:25. It is currently 10:32, and we are going to bring the Board of Behavioral Sciences back to order. It is November 1st, 2017, at the Embassy Suites in Orange, California. I will now turn this back over, the hearing portion, to the Honorable Berg.
All right, thank you. It's Mr. Slomik. Correct. Correct, Slomik. Okay. All right, we are on the record. This is the matter of the petition of Joseph Slomik Jr. It's case 2017-090896. Today, the date November 1st, 2017, during being held in Orange. Adam L. Berg, Administrative Law Judge from the State's Office of Administrative Hearings, sitting today with the Board of Behavioral Sciences. Will counsels enter your appearance, please?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor, members of the board. I'm Deputy Attorney General Carl Sani, appearing on behalf of the people of the state of California pursuant to Government Code Section 11522. My purpose here today is to assist the board in eliciting information sufficient to enable the board to make a decision whether to grant or deny in whole or in part the petition that's before you. Again, I don't represent the board in this capacity, but the people. Before I offer a summary of the case, I'd like to offer evidence the subject petition as well as a cover memo to the board dated October 10th, 2017 by Ms. Pearl Yu to board members, which offers as well as a brief summary of the case. The petition packet that I'm going to have marked and submitted as Exhibit 1 includes that memo. The petition for modification with attachments, the subject decision in order, the psychological evaluation report, the notification of hearing to probationer, and the license history certification. And again, having spoken to Mr. Slomik and his attorney, they would request and I would support sealing the psychological evaluation portion of Exhibit 1 pursuant to Government Code Section 11425.2081 at this time.
Thank you. Counsel, you want to end your appearance?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Your Honor, and good morning, board members. Stephen Lightfoot for the petitioner here, and as Mr. Sani said, we do agree with the sealing the psychological evaluation. And as I've seen earlier, Your Honor, marking is 1A and 1B, please.
All right, thank you. I'll receive Exhibit 1, and 1A will be a psychological evaluation, and I will grant the motion for a protective order.
Thank you, Your Honor. Petitioner was issued a marriage and family therapist intern registration and a professional clinical counselor intern registration on October 2nd, 2014. The disciplinary action against the petitioner's registrations reviewed her conviction on March 13, 2007, arising from the transportation of a controlled substance. The board filed a statement of issues in this matter on October 20, 2013. It was ultimately resolved through a stipulated settlement, which placed the licensee on probation for a period of 5 years, effective October 2nd, 2014. So Mr. Slomik has been on probation for approximately 3 years. The petitioner bears the burden of proof in this matter, so I'll only have a few questions after turning the time over to the petitioner.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Lightfoot, how would you like to proceed?
Thank you, Your Honor. If it pleases Your Honor and members of the board, Mr. Slomik has prepared a statement that he'd like to present, and then is obviously ready, willing, and able to answer your questions.
Great. Let me swear you in this, sir. If you stand and raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll be giving will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, thank you, members of the board and disciplinary committee, as well as the Attorney General's office for giving me the opportunity to be present at today's board hearing to request the early termination of my probation. So we have a better understanding about what kind of person I am today. I would like to share with you my recovery from alcohol and drugs, as well as my
Can you slow down, please? I'm sorry. Can you slow down a little bit,
Oh, I'm
please?
sorry.
Thank you.
Anxiety phone.
Of course. Yes.
Not only slow down so they can hear you, but also so she can type.
All right. You want me to start again? I can start again. Thank you, members of the board and disciplinary committee, as well as the Attorney General's office, for giving me the opportunity to be present at today's board hearing to request the early termination of my probation. So you have a better understanding about what kind of person I am today, I would like to share with you my recovery from alcohol and drugs, as well as my commitment to continue my life with sobriety, and to continue to help others as a counselor and therapist. First, I would like to offer my deepest apologies to the woman I was with, to my family, friends, to my supporters, and to anyone else I let down for my inexcusable actions on May 5th, 2005. I understand and I accept that I'm solely responsible for my actions that night. There's no excuse for my lapse in judgment, regardless of whether I was under the influence of drugs and alcohol. I have humbly accepted the consequences of my behavior. I deserved the punishment handed down by the San Francisco Superior Court in March of 2007, and I accepted the BVS's decision to question my integrity by initially denying my application beginning in December 2012, and subsequently as part of the stipulated settlement agreement by placing me on probation for 5 years, effective October 2nd, 2014. I'm deeply regretful for what had occurred, and I must live with my poor judgment for the rest of my life. I'm hopeful that this board, after considering what I have done with my life over the last 10 years, will agree to an early termination of my probation so I can continue helping others as a counselor and as a therapist. Before that night in 2005, I'd never been in trouble before. I was born and raised in San Francisco, and I attended public schools. In 1979, I graduated from Lowell High School and played baseball and football there. In 1984, I graduated from San Francisco State University with a degree in history, and while there, played baseball. After my graduation, I worked in the insurance industry for several years, and in 2002, I earned a master's degree in organizational management while working first in insurance sales, and then with the San Francisco Unified School District's Child Development Program as a senior management assistant to its executive director. In 2003, I became a father. To my only son, to my only child, a son, with whom I spent time on weekends. Sadly, in February 2005, his mother and I separated. I was already misusing my Xanax prescription in 2005. I was commingling it with alcohol and other pain medication. I've been prescribed for symptoms of physical pain. I was in due in part to chronic back and neck pain. I was self-medicating to try to cope with anxiety, depression, and physical pain. Instead of helping myself, I was doing myself harm, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Because I was aware of my lapse of judgment and to take responsibility for my actions, I voluntarily entered jail in January 2007 to begin my sentence of 1 year. In March of 2007, I pled guilty to Health and Safety Code 11379, a felony drug charge. In May 2007, I was released from San Francisco County Jail for good behavior. In 2010, soon after completing my 3 years of probation and satisfying my probationary terms and conditions, the court granted my motion to dismiss the drug charge. When I was in jail, I had time to reflect on my purpose in life. I read books, and one day I came across a book that initiated my journey to be with you, all of you today. This book was titled The Creation of Health by Dr. Sheely and Dr. Mice, MYSS. In a nutshell, what I took from the reading was a connection between emotional dysfunction and physical illness. It described the role that emotional disturbances play in most common diseases and ailments. It helped me realize the importance of staying connected to my feelings, to not detach, to not deny, to not fear my emotions, as well as to acknowledge and to stay proactive with my self-care. While in jail, I helped others who had various challenges. For example, I listened to a fellow inmate who had difficulty communicating and likely had some learning disabilities. We worked on a long time together on his communication skills and with his reading and writing. He needed help with articulating his needs and wants to his public defender. He was agitated and fearful. I worked with him for several days, listened to him, asked him questions about his life's experiences, and offered him hope and encouragement to believe in himself. I also helped him prepare a letter to the court, articulating his life of challenges. It was wonderful to be service to others, and it started my journey to become a counselor and a therapist. Since my May 2007 release, I have continued to dedicate my life and career to help others by leading a personal life of sobriety and embracing a healthier lifestyle. This includes 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night, eating nutritional foods, walking at least 2 to 3 days a week, going to the gym, spending time with my friends and with my family. My favorite is taking my son. My favorite is taking my son on summer road trips to various cities. Where the San Francisco Giants are playing. Since 2010, we have attended Giants games in Seattle, Washington, D.C., Denver, Anaheim, Kansas City, Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles. My hope is now, my now 14-year-old will continue this father-son venture. I think everybody recognizes I love my son. My hope is my now 14-year-old will continue this father-son venture for the foreseeable future. To date, overall, I have met the terms and conditions of my BBS probation requirements. This includes the BBS approving me to initiate my probation terms and conditions after I had completed a psychological evaluation with Dr. Eric Myers, who BBS referred me to visit. I do want to be clear about one issue that may come up. On 2 occasions, the BBS did inform me that I did not check in with FamiTech to determine if I was required to take a biological fluid test. The dates I overlooked were weekend dates. To date, all my biological fluids have been from Mondays through Fridays. However, since mid-2005, I have not used any benzodiazepines or any other illicit or non-prescribed drugs, I have not abused or inappropriately used any of my prescriptions. Today I live a clean and sober life. I'll attend AA. I've been a speaker several times. I've chaired a few meetings, prepared coffee. I've worked the 12 steps with sponsor as well as with others. My favorite step is 12. My favorite step is 12. Let me start that again. My favorite step is step 12. Service to others. Since October 2014, I've submitted on time my quarterly reports to the BBS. I attend 3 times per week, AA meetings. I attend weekly therapy sessions with Dr. Daniel Cooper for work on my anxiety, my substance use history, trauma, and grief and loss. Moreover, I've tested negative for biological fluids approximately 150 times. I'm also currently at my yearly probation monitoring fees. I'm also current with my intern registration. Since my release from county jail, I returned to school and earned various certifications and degrees while working full-time. At City College of San Francisco, I earned certificates in Spanish studies and alcohol and drug studies. I then attended and earned a master's degree from the University of San Francisco in counseling psychology. The California Consortium of Addiction Programs and Professions, formerly known as CADAC, has certified me at various levels throughout the past 10 years. Since 2013, I am a licensed advanced alcohol and drug counselor, internationally certified advanced alcohol and drug counselor, and an internationally certified alcohol counselor. Since 2013, I'm also certified as a co-occurring disorder professional, as well as an internationally certified co-occurring disorder professional. Since 2015, I am certified as an addictions treatment counselor, level 4, with the Addiction Counseling Certification Board of California, formerly known as CADI. Since 2007, I have also earned a master's level registered addiction counselor certification from the Pioneer Institute. For the past several years, I've taken several years and plan to continue taking continuing education units in alcohol, drug, batterers intervention, and behavioral sciences. I have successfully passed both the licensed marriage and family therapist and professional clinical counselor law and ethics examinations. I'm currently earning clinical hours to submit for consideration to the BBS to be allowed to take the marriage and family as well as professional clinical counselor clinical examinations. My professional goals are to become a behavioral health clinician in the San Francisco Department of Public Health Community Behavioral Health Services, as well as to explore work as a sole practitioner, specializing in batterers intervention and substance use. Since 2007, I have worked in many clinical settings. Beginning in September 2007, for approximately 2 years, I was employed as a substance abuse counselor with the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center in San Francisco. I individually counseled 30 to 40 clients, homeless, substance using, and formerly incarcerated, active probation clients, on treatment recovery goals. I also facilitated groups such as smoking cessation, stress management, relapse prevention, trust and recovery, parenting, and also co-facilitated with the director of the Family Significant Other Codependency Sessions. I trained our incoming counseling interns with our system processes. I also performed 90-day and 5-month written evaluations with every program beneficiary to evaluate the individual.
A tad bit slower, please. Just a little slower.
Oh. Yeah. I don't even realize how fast I'm going. Let's see where we start. I trained our incoming counselor. I trained our incoming counseling interns with our system processes. I also performed 90-day and 5-month written evaluations with every program beneficiary to evaluate the individual's progress and reported my findings to our executive director during our group and individual supervision while communicating case discussions. Beginning in 2009, for approximately 6 years, I worked as a vocational specialist with the Hyde Street Community Services, comprehensive mental health, substance use, and social rehabilitation outpatient clinic, providing services to the challenging adult population of the Tenderloin neighborhood in San Francisco. And if the board is unfamiliar with the Tenderloin, it's an area of San Francisco which has a reputation for being somewhat seedy with rampant homelessness and drugs. Indeed, my clients from the Tenderloin present with severe and chronic mental illness, trauma histories, substance abuse, and homelessness. At Hyde Street, my duties included, but were not limited to, facilitation of various groups such as stress management, vocational process, socialization, computer training. I also ran a program called Awakening Your Spirit. It was a self-insight group. And past co-facilitation of our agency in and out of limbo / case management process groups. I work with consumers and assigned therapeutic medical staff on assessing and identifying the consumer's various needs. And we collaboratively tailored as a team therapeutic and vocational self-initiated consumer goals. Individual and group sessions were documented in writing according to agency standards. I also partnered with outside agencies to help facilitate consumer vocational reintegration. I work closely with several organizations to coordinate and support our agency's vocational consumers in enrolling in training programs, school, and collaborated with clients in identifying employment opportunities to achieve self-sufficiency. I attended our agency's weekly clinician meetings wherein I actively participated in clinical case discussions with our therapists and medical staff. Our team efforts were successful. Many of the clients were employed, attended school or training programs, and volunteered. They were also generally more in touch with their feelings and emotions. It was a wonderful moment to witness clients who have graduated from various programs. While attending graduate school at the University of San Francisco, I completed a marriage and family therapy traineeship practicum in the Daly City Youth Health Center, wherein I worked with integrated medical, vocational, therapeutic personnel in providing comprehensive teen services at the clinic and at Jefferson High School during the 2011 and 2012 school year. This experience afforded me the opportunity to collaborate with teens, many of whom were from low-income, diverse families, to present with a variety of mental health and substance abuse issues. I assisted several individuals, their significant others, and their families in developing practical problem-solving skills for difficulties that arose at school, home, or in relationships. I also co-facilitated a parenting workshop and anger management group for teen males. From 2012 to 2015, I was employed as a DUI and family counselor with the National Council on Alcoholism and Other Drug Addictions, Bay Area, otherwise known as Center for Open Recovery. I supported the organization's mission of reducing the prevalence and consequences of alcoholism and other drug diseases through education, diagnoses, and treatment. I facilitated DUI group and individual sessions wherein clients from a host of diverse backgrounds engaged in conversations about alcohol, drug dependency, and addiction, and the use of constructive coping strategies. I encouraged client collaboration and to evaluate their own thoughts and experiences with addictive substances in a group process format. As a family counselor, I collaborate with parents and youth while utilizing the Strengthening Families program. It's an evidence-based family skills training program found to significantly reduce problem behaviors, delinquency, and alcohol and drug abuse in children whose families reside in economically depressed areas of San Francisco. The agency's mission was to support its youth clientele to improve social competencies and school performance, as well as supporting parents strengthen bonds with their children while learning more effective parenting skills. Since May of 2015, I've been working with the City and County of San Francisco's Department of Public Health as a dual diagnosis specialist at the Mission Mental Health Outpatient Clinic. Clients are low socioeconomic status, predominantly Latino and African American identified with a host of self-identified medical, mental, emotional, and physical challenges within and outside the community. My duties have included providing individual brief and long-term therapy treatment support and case management referral. I have facilitated harm reduction groups to Mission Mental Health as well as the Alternatives Program, which is an African American intensive case management program supporting clients reintegrate from locked mental health facilities and incarceration. I also support the Mission Multicultural Servant Community Client, otherwise known as Mission Act. These clients present with severe or persistent mental health and substance use challenges. I facilitate individual support sessions, engage with clients in the program's group wellness program. I also coordinate care with healthcare and social service providers. As a member of Mission Mental Health, I collaborate with all clinic treatment teams at weekly clinical team meetings. I provide Officer of the Day clinic support I attend and participate in weekly individual supervision with the executive director. I also attend bi-weekly substance use group supervision meetings. My job also consists of utilizing Avatar, preparing clinical assessments, treatment plans of care, ANSA ratings, closing summaries, and one-on-one and group process session notes. For approximately 3 months in mid-2017, given a lack of personnel, I offered my services to assist the San Francisco Department of Public Health's Community Behavioral Health Services Treatment Access Program. My job consisted of assessing individuals who presented with various levels of substance use and coordinated with seasoned staff on client placement to an appropriate substance facility. The San Francisco Department of Public Health, CDHS, also have requested for volunteers to offer counseling support to those in need in the North Bay fires. I offered my services, and I am on standby to assist in the coming days. Also, for the past 2 years, I've been working as a certified batterers group facilitator with John Mill & Associates, otherwise known as Alternative Behavioral Choices. My work is to conduct program intakes to facilitate ongoing weekly managed group representing a diversity of socioeconomic backgrounds. Topics include, but are not limited to, effective listening and communicating, anger, jealousy, alcohol and drugs, challenging irrational beliefs, meditation, consequences of abuse, identifying emotions, problem solving, conflict resolutions, identifying irrational thoughts, causes and consequences of domestic violence. My work includes collaborating with adult probation and courts on client status reports, including reporting client noncompliance. My work also requires that I attend all required batterers intervention domestic violence training sessions and to complete 16 continuing education units yearly. I also have individual weekly supervision sessions with Mr. Hamel. Lastly, since August 2016, I've been working as a therapist intern for the Liberation Institute, a nonprofit community mental health organization. I facilitate individual and couples therapy sessions. I utilize various evidence-based treatment modalities to support the clients in their search for meaning. I document my sessions by preparing clinical notes. I also attend weekly group supervision sessions. So I know that is a lot of information, but I think it's important for this board to understand all that I do and why I'm committed to continue to be of service to people. In closing, I respectfully ask for the board's support to terminate my probation early because I am a completely different person today. I am a sober and sane person, and I'm proud of it. And I continue to put in the work, and I want to continue to be of service to others. I've adhered to and successfully completed the court sentence as well as the terms of that probation. I've adhered to the Board of Behavioral Sciences probationary terms and conditions to date, to 150 biological food test results with no evidence of any alcohol or drug use, to my commitment to sobriety, to my commitment to continue education for my personal and professional growth, to a commitment to my career, to my commitment to my self-care, to my commitment to my family, to my clients as a counselor, and as a therapist. I understand the challenges of alcohol and drug use. I am a spiritual person who believes in a higher power, and for the past 10 years, I've happily provided that service to others in need. I plan to continue therapy support for maintenance purposes, to attend AA meetings, to share my story, and to continue to engage in constructive self-care activities, to steer clear of negative triggers, to perform daily check-ins. Wrapping up again? Okay. I understand the challenges of alcohol and drug use. I am a spiritual person who believes in the higher power. Over the past 10 years, I've happily provided service to others in need, which in turn fuel my passion to help even more people in their time of need. I plan to continue therapy support for myself, to attend AA meetings, frankly, to share my story, to continue to engage in constructive self-care activities, to steer clear of negative triggers, to perform daily check-ins with myself, and to remain a loving father. I have provided letters of support during my application process as well as for my request for the early termination of my probation. I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you. Mr. Lightfoot, any questions for your client?
Not at this time.
Okay, Mr. Sonia?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Swan, thank you for your statement. Your statement was responsive to several questions I was going to pose to you. One of the things that came out of your statement is that you're a very busy man with a lot of responsibilities. And given all those responsibilities, how do you maintain your composure, use the right jargon, make sure that you handle the stressors in your life, because it sounds like there's a lot of potential stressors. How do you deal with that?
Well, I can think of nice, just do it. Just do it. Just focus. For myself, I focus. I think ahead, I plan ahead, I use time management skills, I prioritize my needs, and I take care of business.
Okay. Now, you've asked that the board terminate your probation roughly 2 years early. You provided the board a lot of material, but let me just ask, why specifically are you seeking to terminate probation now? How will termination of probation help you or help the public?
I think I'm evidence of change. I believe very strongly that I've done so much for myself, let alone for clients from across the spectrum for the past 10 years. I'm ready to stand on my own 2 feet. I respect the board, every one of you. You do a fabulous job. I don't question that at all. I totally respect the role you play. But I'm in a position in my life where I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to play ball. And I know for a fact I can come to any one of you if I need to and ask help. And I know you would be there for me if I need that. In the meantime, I continue to reach out to people who are near and dear to me that have been part of my life, especially for the last 10 years.
Thank you. Now, I want to turn to your petition. In response to question number 8, it says, have you ever, prior or subsequent to revocation, been convicted of any offense other than minor traffic violations? You answered yes. Am I to understand that you're simply referring to the prior conviction which gave rise to this matter, not some additional conviction?
Correct.
And that was something that we discussed, that given the literal call of the question, we wanted to make sure that we referenced the earlier conviction.
Fair enough. Thank you. You've also attached to your materials the decision and order of the Department of Social Services effective October 21st, 2016, which went to hearing apparently and involved similar to the process that the Board of Behavioral Sciences engages in, administrative hearing where evidence was taken and gathered, and you were placed on probation, apparently also arising from its prior conviction. Can you describe for the board what that whole process was about and what was the purpose of your proceedings before the Department of Social Services?
Yes, I was applying for work, and I was offered a position to be a director at the Door Clinic in San Francisco with Progress Foundation. They offered me a job, and I was honored. Unfortunately, they called me and said that they had to rescind the job offer because I had a situation involving the law. And so I just do it. And so I went back and worked with them and had my day in administrative hearing, had the opportunity to speak, as I am today.
And you ultimately did get your criminal exemption on a probationary basis for 3 years, is that correct?
Correct.
And can you, did you agree with the findings and statements contained in the decision?
Absolutely.
Do you drink now?
No.
What's your sobriety date?
September 30th, 2014.
I have no further questions at this time.
Questions from the board members?
Yes. Sorry. Christine Whittlesbach, I'm a public member. So you're a busy man, and in your wrap-up of your statement, you had talked about you were going to do this, this, and this, and one of those things was keep doing self-care. I forget how you stated it, but and if this was in your statement, forgive me, I remember a lot of it, but there's a lot of information, so I forget this piece if it was in there, but can you review for me or just tell me what are some of those self-care activities that you plan to, and when do you plan to?
Well, I have been doing it.
Okay.
Frankly, I like to walk. I like to go to the gym. I like to be around good people. I like to watch TV. I love sports in particular. I think I mentioned the San Francisco Giants earlier. So for me, it's about really checking in with myself, asking myself how I feel, stretch, exercise, walk, eat well, sleep well, be around good people. And frankly, that makes me happy.
Thank you.
No questions.
I have no questions.
Anyone on the Giants? Giants? No?
You made it clear.
You might be biased because it's a Giant fan too, so I'm just saying. For the record, no question for me. Thank you.
Just kidding.
Just a question, and I think the DAG asked this, but just for further clarification, in terms of your request, how will this help to aid the public in your service in termination early?
I can honestly say that I've been in the trenches.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. Samara Ashley, I'm a public member. I apologize for cutting you off. I had to do that part.
No worries. Frankly, I've been in the trenches. I know how it feels. I know how it feels to have a free fall. I know how it feels to go from one position to the basement. I know how it feels to go through trials and tribulations with alcohol and drug use, incarceration, and so on and so forth. So the clients I work with, by and large, represent that population. So I can understand firsthand how it feels, and I can relate to that, and I can relate to them as a result. And that's why I frankly got the job at San Francisco Department of Public Health. I mean, I know it because I'm real with all my clients. What you see is what you get. You saw me, my various personalities. I'm very emotional when I have to be emotional. But I'm also honest. Just do it. And I believe everybody has the ability for self-efficacy. And I impress upon that with myself every day. And I try to do that with my clients every moment.
Yeah, actually, I do have a question.
Yes.
Max Disposi, public member. Among the all conditions that the BBS has presented to you, has imposed to you, what will be, if there is a consideration of reviewing those conditions, what will be the most challenging one for you at the moment, if it's time related, or what would be alleviating your the weight of certain conditions?
Well, those biological fluid tests are very expensive. I've done 150 so far. You know, I'm an anxious person. I think I presented that today. That's who I am. Get up in the morning looking for that website and checking in. And that's anxiety provoking. And you know, getting from my jobs to do the test is a challenge at times, knowing that there are conflicts with other scheduled events. However, you know, I'm a soldier, and I was expected to do it, and if it means I have to continue to do it, I will do it. I understand and I respect the board. I understand you have a responsibility for anybody who's sitting at this desk. It is a challenge, though.
Thank you. That's the answer.
I have no questions.
I do. Thank you for coming in. I'm Betty Conley, LEP member. And thank you for all the work that you're doing. You're doing a lot of good work out there. So, did I hear you say your sobriety date was September 2014?
Correct.
So, between May of 2005, when the incident occurred, and 2014, what was going on in terms of your relationship with drugs and alcohol?
Well, I haven't touched or used any prescription drugs that were prescribed to me since 2007, I believe. I haven't touched any of that. I specifically don't want any of that stuff anymore. Yes, I did drink periodically. My drinks consisted usually of a light beer, Heineken, sometimes Coors Light. I'm not a big drinker to begin with, but I did drink. I drank a lot. And fortunately, for the last 3 years, I don't wake up with a hangover, a blackout, a brownout, the shakes, no tremors. I feel great. And frankly, I plan on continuing to do that.
The other thing that impressed me is incredible strength of will and commitment. I guess I heard you talking about walking. Do you see your participation in Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous? I mean, is that a support system that you would rely on an ongoing basis even after you finish your probation?
Yes. It's not only Alcoholics Anonymous, it's self-help groups in general. Being around positive people, constructive activities, at an AA meeting, an NA meeting, a yoga meeting, a singing meeting, that's good. It's good for me. And as long as I'm around people that I can socialize with, instead of isolating, that I can engage in constructive thought and activities, it can only make me a better man, and a better father, a better person, and most importantly, I love my son, a better therapist.
So last question. Do you have a plan in place, or have you thought beyond the tough it out, just do it? Do you have a plan for if things start to unravel? What's your plan?
Well, my plan is, frankly, to continue to do the things I'm doing. Like I mentioned earlier that I have a good relationship with my therapist, and I plan to stay in contact with him. I have good friends in society that I communicate with, who are clean and sober. I exercise. I check in every morning. What's my day going to be? Try to have some positive thought. Frankly, at times I do something called progressive relaxation, where I tense up various parts of my body to let go of the tension within me. I forgot to do that this morning. My apologies. I was just ramped up earlier. But I recognize that. And so those are examples of knowing that I need to slow down. Like the nicety that I heard today was bring it down a little bit. That's cool. I can accept that stuff. So for me, it's about being mindful, thoughtful, considerate, respectful, spiritual. As long as I'm active and present with myself, chances are I'm always going to make good choices. I'm human. I get it. And there will be moments where I may have a little dip. However, there are a lot of resources out there. Many of the people in my support letters offer that. I have great people from a diversity of backgrounds who've worked with supervisors, friends, my executive director, gave a chance on me. A lot of wonderful people. And we have a commonality of interest, which is to help others while we help ourselves.
Okay, thank you.
Peter Chu, public member. Thank you for coming. I just have a couple of questions. You have a letter of support, letters of support, as you mentioned. Did you ask your therapist for a letter?
Actually, no.
Why?
Well, because he's also reporting to the board. And I didn't feel like that would be the right thing for me to do because I felt there could have been a conflict of interest.
Okay. If your early termination of probation is granted, will you still be seeing Dr. Kugler?
I hope so. He's actually a wise gentleman. He has a lot of insight. He's got 40 years of experience. He's been very helpful to me.
And how often do you think you would see him still?
Well, as of right now, I see him every week. I think that's something he and I would talk, given where I'm at in my stage in my recovery.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Leah Brew, LPCC member. I have several questions. You had said from 2007 to 2014, you drink mostly light beer, and then somewhere along the way you said, and I drank a lot. What does that mean?
Well, when I meant drinking a lot was back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And specifically around the period in question. I think I showed my emotions about what happened. I didn't know how to handle it. You know, I'm a tough guy on the outside, but on the inside I'm jello. And I didn't know what to do. And alcohol is a legal drug, just like prescription drugs. The problem is,
I misused them.
Okay, so you're asserting that since 2007 that you did not drink heavily, it was infrequently and low volume.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. And so did you quit drinking because of the probation?
Partly yes, partly I was frankly weaning myself off of it. And so, as I indicated earlier, I was drinking periodically. And what that would consist of was maybe 1 or 2 beers a week at home, watching a ball game with a sandwich.
Okay, thank you. Another thing that you mentioned in terms of what you would continue to do along with therapy, AA, and self-care, you talked about is reducing your negative triggers. Can you speak to that a little bit, please?
Person, places, things, events, and experiences. And what I mean by that is if I associate with negative triggers, people, activities, relationships, that could be a challenge. I didn't have
Can you give an example of that, please?
being around someone who's a heroin addict
Okay.
and trying to be a codependent.
And places.
That's problematic.
Okay. So you said people, places.
Things, events. So if I engage in activities which I know are inappropriate, that's a trigger. And potentially, I may get weaned in as part of that. And I know that. So I steer clear of problematic relationships, activities, areas that I know could be troublesome.
What I'm hearing you say, and I just want to clarify, is that those negative triggers are people, places, events that are focused around drugs and alcohol. Is that accurate or is that not?
It doesn't have to just be with alcohol and drugs, because it could be just people who are just challenging to be with.
Okay. And what if you work with those negative people?
Those are some of my clients. I separate myself. When they come through the door, they're a client. And my self-care recognizes that if I ever have a percolation within me, then that's something I have to acknowledge, respect it, separate it, go in my consultation groups, my supervision groups, my therapist, to seek out support, to get some clarity.
I was thinking more along the lines of your colleagues. If a new colleague comes in or a new supervisor comes in and is toxic to you, how do you manage that?
I can only manage myself. And so for myself, I recognize that this is a challenge. How do I best work with the challenge?
All right. And then you had mentioned that you prioritize your needs. Can you tell me what your top 3 priorities are?
My sobriety, my son, and myself.
Thank you. And then finally, as other people have noted, you have your just do it attitude. And in some ways that feels like you create a plan, you follow that plan, and it sounds kind of rigid to me. And so what I worry about is flexibility, and I guess I'd like you to speak to that.
In the work I do, if I'm rigid, I fail. In my personal life, if I'm rigid, I fail. There are parts of my life where I have to just do it because there's an expectation to get the job done, to take care of myself, to take care of my son, to be a good citizen. I do it. But I also afford the flexibility, as I indicated earlier, in terms of my self-care. I exercise, I go to the gym, I love to walk. I like to take in the ambiance when I walk throughout the city and county of San Francisco. I like to spend time with my son, I like to play hoops with him. Those are the things I do to help me manage, frankly, balance my life.
So those are not just do it things too.
Perhaps, because working with my son is loving my son, and so I just do it because it's important to me. It's not a job, it's an adventure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Christina Wong, LCSW. Just some clarification question also. So between 2005, when the incident happened, to about 2014, your sobriety date, did you attend any dependency support group?
I attended one or two,
Just a few.
just a few.
Okay, so in that, you were not really participating in any dependency support group until the board make it a stipulation for you.
Well, I attended some, but not many. That's
Right.
correct.
Right. Okay. And okay, so
Let me qualify that. While I was in jail, I did go to several AA groups.
okay, that's fine. So okay, that sounds good. So so truly, I'm telling different. Hearing different period of time in your life that that sobriety is important for you. So when do you really start working on staying clean and sober? Because Dr. Brew talked about that and so do you addressing the issue that you're still using drinking alcohol.
I was drinking alcohol.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking about that, because so when is the very orchestrated effort, for you to focus on working on the sobriety? Is it when the board, ordered the stipulation, or did you do anything before that?
Let's see if I can answer your question. From 2005 to the time I was while I was in jail, or actually before I voluntarily entered jail, I had a lot of time to think. And I didn't drink very much because I realized I lost my job and I realized I was in serious trouble. So I had time to think, go to church, light a candle, hear mass, be around friends who were supportive with constructive thoughts. Drinking wasn't part of the equation. But alcohol was there, but I didn't go to the refrigerator or the liquor store or to the bar and drink. I had other things on my mind. And so this has truly been a journey, because here I am in 2017, and I've learned a lot about myself and the importance of being, frankly, the best I can be day in and day out. And so alcohol isn't important to me. I mean, I have alcohol in my house for those who want to have it. Good for them. That's their choice. But for myself, I don't need it.
So another question. So you did go through the psychotherapy. Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that you plan to continue the sessions with or without the mandate. So I just want to hear what you just give me one example what you hear that or what you learn about yourself through the psychotherapy sessions.
That it's never too late to grow. That frankly, the things that made me who I was that day or that night are no longer in control of me. Trauma, grief and loss, hurt, frustration, abuse. No, they're part of my life, but they're not me. They're connected. So for me, the biggest thing was to recognize that I can move forward, to recognize I can be a better person, to recognize I can be a contributing member of society. And why not offer myself? Because when I was in jail, I had a choice. I could have sat there and taken another route. But I decided that there's a reason why I'm here. There's a purpose, starting with this gentleman I mentioned, and let alone other people. And I figured, well, perhaps there was a spiritual reason. why I was there. And that's why I chose to take the route that I have to be here with you all today.
Thank you very much.
I'm Sarita Kohli, LMF team member. So just a couple of clarifying questions. Do you believe you have a problem with drugs and alcohol?
I probably do. I don't question it. Alcohol and drugs got me in trouble.
Okay. And you very specifically emphasized that you stopped taking prescription drugs. You said it twice. So I'm just wondering, is there other non-prescription drugs that you might have imbibed or taken?
No.
Okay, good. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
I actually have some follow-up questions. Yes. So I'm Jonathan Maddox, licensed marriage and family therapy member. And thank you for your candid answers with the questions. Greatly appreciate it. So one of the questions that I have is, the first one, you mentioned some pretty extreme triggers that I think that you clearly could avoid, a heroin user or things that are fairly obvious and gigantic that you could retract yourself from. But I'm wondering what your relationship is to more subtle, ongoing sort of realities of being human and working and having a family. What your ability to identify those and respond appropriately to those is. And the reason why I ask is that failure is just a part of life's experiences. Things happen that we don't intend, we don't plan, we can't control. And so I'm wondering, how do you sort of manage those more subtle things that are going to inevitably arise in your life?
Stop, think, and listen. Process. Delay the impulsivity. If I do that, I'm ahead of the game. I'm human. I get it. But I use that. And that's one of the things I work with the guys in the batterers intervention program, with their impulsivity. And so by reading the material with them, I'm also reinforcing those same theories for myself, which is I need to always be in a position to think, to process, to really look at the benefits versus the challenges that are coming at me. And if I have to set boundaries, I will set boundaries. Even though it may be painful, I need to do what's best.
Thank you. And so my second follow-up question is, as a practitioner, you know that it's generally easier for us to do things with our clients than it may be for us to actually do for and with ourselves. And so I'm wondering, what role do accountable relationships have in your life so that someone can do that with you when you're not in the role of therapist? You're in the role of, I'm struggling, I've run into this moment in my life, and I need some support. And the reason why I asked that is when you talked earlier about therapy, were you going to continue? You said, I hope so. And so to me, that wasn't a clear answer. That was kind of nebulous and didn't really take ownership of, I'm going to continue this. So back to my question is, who helps you do that when white knuckling it or just trying to just do it is not working for you?
My hope is that I continue to do what's right every day. My hope is that the people who've been there as part of my life will always be there for me. My hope is that I recognize my trials and tribulations every day. My responsibility is to continue to be a good citizen, to be responsible for myself. If I'm not good for myself, I can't be good for anybody else. I have responsibilities, and I embrace those responsibilities. I take my life very serious, and I take the role as a counselor, let alone a therapist, extremely serious. And I don't want to lose it, because I've come so far to be in the position that I am today. I won't, because I know what it feels to lose everything.
Thank you for your answer. I'm actually going to restate it because I don't feel like you answered it. My question was more specifically around what sort of accountable relationships, and I don't know if you could be more concrete,
Okay.
People who would support you in the role of, if you're struggling or if you're having challenges, who could help you, maintain your recovery and your support when those situations arise.
AA, my therapist, psychiatrist, my friend, Mr. Lightfoot, other people who are very important to me. Those are just a few examples. Thank you, Jonathan.
I just want to clarify a date. So when someone on the board asks you how long your sobriety date, just to be clear, you have been clean and sober for 3 years, is that correct?
Yes,
Roughly.
from alcohol. I have not used Xanax or Sonata since 2007, I believe.
Okay, so alcohol for the last 3 years and all other drugs, 10 years? 2007, 17. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
I have a follow-up question. One of my colleagues on the board asked if you would ask your therapist for a recommendation letter for early termination, and you said no, that you felt it might be a conflict of interest because he also reports to the board. Could you tell me a little bit, I thought that's interesting thinking, a little bit about what your thought process was about where the conflict of interest would be?
Because he reports to the board, I didn't want to influence him in any way, shape, or form. I wanted him to do his job, which is to report to the board his findings based upon me sitting with him every week.
Did you discuss that with him at all? Did you bring it up and say, I might want to ask you, but I'm thinking that maybe it's a conflict? Did you discuss it at all with him?
I did not.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Son?
One question, previously you handed to me your 2016 performance plan and appraisal report, which is not in the package of materials. Did you want the board to have that?
Absolutely.
Okay, then I would, this is through inadvertence, do you have copies from the board?
I do.
Mr. Mark, this is exhibit A.
Okay, I'll do that and I'll pass it around to the board before.
And I have no further questions.
We can share. Right.
Okay, Mr. Lightfoot.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. And just one area that I want to make sure it's been asked a couple of different times by the board members. But let me ask Mr. Swan, if your therapist or your psychiatrist advised you to continue to see them, would you do so?
Yes.
Would you take their recommendations, whether it was once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever their recommendations were, would you follow those recommendations?
Yes.
I just want to make that clear, because I think it was asked a couple of different times, a couple of different ways. You're not looking to get out of going to see your therapist or your psychiatrist, correct?
No.
And I think you said earlier in response to a question about continuing to see Dr. Kugler, you hope so. Is that because you want to make sure that it's appropriate for you to continue to see Dr. Kugler and want his input on the matter?
That's part of it. And part of it is, he's busy, and my hope is that he would be able to take me in because he has other clients.
Do you have any reason to believe that he would not continue to see you?
No.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Lightfoot, do you have a closing or?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, and thank you again, members of the board. Having had the benefit of sit through a few of the hearings this morning and also to see some of the other hearings online, we heard several times people following the rules. And certainly when you're in a probationary situation, part of the job is to follow the rules and to make sure you hit certain benchmarks. And Joe himself described himself as a just-do-it guy, follow the rules, stay in line. And I think the concern is, well, what if the rules break down? Or what if the rules aren't there anymore? And I would submit this, is that Joe not only follows the rules, Joe lives the rules. The structure that that binds him in his probationary process also fulfills him on a personal and professional level. He is one of the few people who not only talks the talk, but walks the walk, and puts in the effort, and continues to work the 12 steps, and particularly the last step, which is of being service to others. And that is what motivates him, it's what fuels him, it's what keeps him on the straight and narrow. It's what is going to make him a productive member, not only of society, but of professional licensure through the BDS. The person that stands before you or sits before you today has the appropriate stability and judgment to be a professional counselor. He's ready for that next step. The question was, well, why terminate the probation early? Why not just finish out the term? He's ready. He's put in the work. He's ready to graduate. He's ready to take that next step. My mother used to say all the time, as part of our Catholic upbringing, that actions speak louder than words. You heard a lot of words today from Joe. You read a lot of words to you. I hope what you took from those words were the actions that he has done, that he has gone through, the steps that he has taken, not only the 12 steps, but the steps in life. And the person that he is today, certainly not the person he was in 2005, 2007. It's the person he is in 2017, and that is a person that's committed to a sane and sober lifestyle, personally and professionally. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Thank you to the parties. That concludes the hearing in the matter. The record is closed and the matter is submitted for decision. Thank you, and I will turn it over to Ms. Brown.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this point in time, we are now going to go into closed session. It is, do I need to say a time going into closed session? I don't? I'm just going to say 11:40, we're going into closed session. Lunch is at noon, but I'm going to move, the pleasure of the board, I'd like to move item number 8 between now and noon.
Okay.
Members of the board, is that okay?
What is
the
first case?
I would like to move item number 8,
Which is the first case?
which is the performance of the executive officer up to now, between now and lunch, when we break at noon.
Yeah.
Is that okay with the board?
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to go into closed session, and we will come back out at noon.
Good.
Yeah, we're.
Can the board take 2 minutes?